Okay, when you were paying $3,000 a mile, fuel was $2.50 a gallon. Right now it's close to $5.
Oh, it's less than that, John.
When you were paying $3,000 a mile, we could buy a plow truck for about $125,000, maybe $150,000. I just bought one for $200,000. When you were paying $3,000 a mile, my guys, I think we're making somewhere around $14 an hour. Right now, they're making, I think, 16 and a quarter. 17 and a half, there you go. We all know prices go up. We all know that it costs us more money to do every single thing that we do, period, end of story. All we're doing, if we take money from this, the towns are gonna have to transfer that tax to their town tax. The property owners are gonna pay the same tax. I've always been in the belief that myself, in my town, we can do business cheaper at the town level than we can at the county level. I think that the towns can plow the roads cheaper, and if you have to go out and hire all these guys and gals, if you have to go out and buy all this equipment, et cetera, right on down the line. With that said, and I'll say it again, I'm willing to take less money for the town of Root to plow the roads. But I'm not going to pass on a humongous tax because we cut this to death. $2,300 a mile just isn't going to fly. Anybody that's reasonable knows that. And I honor Ron for being absurd, but sometimes that's what it takes. I'm willing to take up to $500 less a mile. But my town, we can take it. There are towns in this county that can't take that $500 a mile. This will devastate them. So every supervisor is going to have to make up their own mind. You know where I stand. We'll leave it at that. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Any other discussion on the second amendment at $2,300? Hearing none, roll call.
Supervisor Brown.
Yeah.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yes.
Supervisor Chayera.
No.
Supervisor DeMeza.
No.
Supervisor Allen.
No.
Chairman Walters.
No.
Supervisor Strebe.
No.
Supervisor Coddington.
No.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
No.
Supervisor Rishkowski.
No.
Supervisor Sweet.
No.
Supervisor Thayer.
No.
Supervisor Stagliano.
No.
Supervisor Grieco.
Yes.
Supervisor Stark.
No.
Fail.
Discussion on the First Amendment inserting 5250. May I have John first?
Chair, I'd like to offer up an amendment to insert the number of $4,900 per mile.
I need a second.
A second.
Put.
One or 2 years.
All I said was $4,900.
It's something.
2 years.
All right.
49.
Yeah, 4,900. Did you get it? Was put second. Discussion on $4,900 amendment. This would be the second one again. Tom?
Again, I know some may not think so, but I hope there's a plan when you lower this, because some towns, there's not a choice for some. I could get away with it, but my town is not going to vote for this. I can almost assure you, and that's fine. You could put it at $2,300 a mile. I don't believe they're going to support it, and if they don't, you got to have a plan, even if it's one town. Herbie, you're going to have to come over and plow those roads, and you can all cry and blame the town of Minden or somebody else, but it's a contract. It's a contract, and I just don't see it happening. And I might be wrong, and you know what? Maybe my town board will pass it, but I don't think they will. We talked about it. If you remember at the beginning of the year, I asked your town supervisors to go back to your towns and ask if they'd be willing to give up a little bit, remember, on our own. without reducing the mileage, just don't charge the mileage. And everybody come back overwhelmingly and said no. I can't believe that every town here is going to now say yes to a reduction in miles that they know they may not ever get back up there again. And it's going to be a town or two. You know, there's going to be a town or two that says no to this. You got to have a plan. Paul's going to have a plan of attack here, and I don't know what it is. So, lose your luck.
All set? Yeah, Bill?
Just a remark, Chairman, I don't think it's fair. There's a couple of towns here, maybe 2 or 3 of us, that probably could take a little bit less money and suffer the consequences without much to do. But it doesn't seem right that we should be making the choices for those that can't afford to do it for a lesser amount. And for that reason alone, I'm going to support keeping it at $5,250.
Any other discussion on the $4,900? Tom?
Yeah, just one final thought. There isn't the votes here to override the cap, 2%. That's just plain. I'm not going to override the cap. I'm not going to override it. And so the thing was, you know, what's the alternative? The alternative is massive cuts. And what little token cut we're talking, even if you look in the sheets that you've got in front of you, you know, the thing is, there's an estimate that you might cut $98,000 out to help the budget process. Well, that $98,000 is 2 more people when you decide that you want to keep it at $5,250. So instead of 45, we'll go to 47. You know, and so just if you think that it's not me being against 5,250, 4,900. It's the idea is this is August. You haven't seen the repercussions of the budget yet. You're boxing yourself into a corner, and you've got no way out. What you've got is you can spend the fund balance down to you're broke. You'll destroy the bond rating. You're already on a watch. You'll destroy the bond rating. You'll have no money. You'll be talking cash flow issues by the end of the year. We've been there before. You know what I mean? We've gotten as low as 160,000. Remember, Ron, those days? All right. We're headed there again because the easy way out is to vote no on overriding the cap. Then the budget comes through with all the cuts in it to bring you below it. Then you can vote no against that, and you can say, geez, I'm against laying anybody off or making any cuts. But you know what happens? The cuts are made automatically for you. So if you don't want to, you know, put this aside until you have all the numbers, fine. I'll go along with you. But you know, what you're going to see in a month from now, or a week from now, you're not going to like it. Not pretty. I put the numbers in a spreadsheet, so I know exactly where they are and what the effect is. The proposals you got get you 1/4 point below the 2% tax cap. So you haven't got any room to play.
I'm going to make a motion.
All right, thanks, Chair.
I'm going to make a motion to table.
We did a motion to table on this one.
For this one?
And it failed. Yeah, we did. We've done 2 of them.
I want to make a motion to table.
I have a second on motion to table. Thank you. Roll call.
How many times can I make the motion to table?
Many as you like, man. The rest of the limit.
I know where to go Tuesday after next week.
Oh my God.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Brown and Tyra.
Table it. I don't understand why you won't table it for a month. Really?
Okay. Supervisor Brown.
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yes.
Supervisor Tyra.
Aye.
Supervisor DeMeza.
No.
Supervisor Allen.
No.
Chairman Walters.
No.
Supervisor Strebe.
No.
Supervisor Coddington.
No.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
No.
Supervisor Brishkowski.
No.
Supervisor Sweet.
No.
Supervisor Thayer.
Yes.
Supervisor Stagliano.
Yes.
Supervisor Grieco.
Yes.
Supervisor Stark.
Yes.
Fail.
Back on discussion for the 4,900. I've got Butch.
Okay, I'm going to jump on Supervisor Stagliano is back here. And we're asking the department heads, okay, to make cuts. We're going through the budget and everything else. We're gonna let people go, and this is not showing the department heads, okay, that we're trying to salvage as much as we can. And that's all I'm gonna say.
All set, Butch?
Yep.
Anybody else discussion on the 4,900? Tom?
I just don't think that we should be holding a snow contract hostage on what's happened with this
We're not.
budget. And that's exactly what we're saying here when we say things like that. I mean, you know, keep all the sales tax. Ron said it a while ago. Keep it all. Just keep it all. I mean, you know, that what you can do. Your problems are solved. I mean, just to keep saying that this is, you know, you can put it at $1,000 if you want. You still got to have 10 towns vote for this. And again, what are you going to do if they don't? You're going to spend more money you're better off trying to bid it out. I mean, I'm not suggesting this, I'm just saying, I think Larry said, what could you do with a private contractor? Well, bid out all 10 towns. You're going to get a better price than bidding out one.
All set, Tom?
I'll keep the plows in the shop.
All set, Tom?
We'll sell them the trucks.
Yeah, so.
Any other discussion on the 4,900? Yeah, I'm just going to make a statement real quick, just to clarify something. I think I just signed 9 contracts. I think every Friday I probably do 9 to 15 contracts, and I guarantee nobody in this room knows the dollar amounts in these contracts. You might know 1 or 2, but you have no idea how much we sign away here at the county. Yet we spent a good portion of the meeting discussing a contract that's necessity to the public safety, a contract that's necessity to the residents of this county. That's interesting, because the contracts I looked at that I just signed, I would really not want to sign any one of them, because they don't serve anybody out by me. But this is part of being in the county, and this is part of our public duty. It's very interesting. All right, discussion on the, no, we got to vote. On the roll call on the 4,900, the amendment for 4,900.
Supervisor Thayer.
Yes.
Supervisor Stagliano.
Yes.
Supervisor Grieco.
Yes.
Supervisor Stark.
Yes.
Supervisor Barone.
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yes.
Supervisor Chayera.
Yes.
Supervisor DeMeza.
Yes.
Supervisor-
No, sorry.
Thought he had a
Supervisor
tendency there.
Allen.
I know.
No.
Corona was had me convinced.
Chairman Walters.
No.
Supervisor Strebe.
No.
You would have been a hero.
Supervisor Coddington.
No.
He would have had to duck the gavel.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
No.
Supervisor Rishkowski.
No.
Supervisor Sweet. No? Fail.
Right, that's where I was going.
We're gonna see what happens when we get.
Discussion on the First Amendment to 5250. Any discussion? If not, roll call. On the insert in 5250. Roll call.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
Yes.
Supervisor Rishkowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Sweet.
Yes.
Supervisor Thayer.
Yes.
Supervisor Stagliano.
No.
Supervisor Grieco.
No.
Supervisor Stark.
No.
Supervisor Barone.
No.
Supervisor Wheeler.
No.
Supervisor Chayera.
No.
Supervisor DeMeza.
Yes.
Supervisor Allen.
Yes.
Chairman Walters.
Yes.
Supervisor Strebe.
Yes.
Supervisor Coddington.
Yes.
On the resolution as amended. Roll call.
This is ridiculous. Why don't you just say anybody against? Full board. You know it's gonna pass.
Who said full board?
Right.
Board.
Definitely not. No.
Wait a minute.
Board,
No, we're
Definitely
not
not.
gonna get it, so
who
roll
do I
call.
start with?
We can laugh when we're bankrupt.
Chairman Walters.
Yes.
Supervisor Strebe.
On the resolution as amended.
Say no.
Yes.
Yes.
Supervisor Coddington.
Aye.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
Aye.
Supervisor Richkowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Sweet.
Yes.
Supervisor Thayer.
Yes.
Supervisor Stagliano.
No.
Supervisor Frico.
No.
Supervisor Stark.
No.
Supervisor Barone. Supervisor Wheeler.
No.
Supervisor Chayera.
No.
Supervisor DeMeza.
Yes.
Supervisor Allen.
Yes.
Pass.
Resolution 179, a resolution approving abstract of audited claims sponsored by Thayer, second by Shiera. Discussion. Mike?
Yeah, I just had a question of the attorney. Just as a hypothetical, let's assume that this failed. What would be the repercussions? I think you've looked at this. There's National Grid, there's various villages and towns. What would happen if this failed, Mr.
I haven't looked at this particular
Well,
audit, but I've
just in
certainly
general.
looked at plenty of them.
Yeah.
They don't get paid.
If your resolution doesn't pass, the various vendors do not receive their checks. It could put you into a delinquency situation with regard to the various vendors. And while I don't handle bond rating issues, I suppose if it was a persistent situation, it could have ramifications on the county's bond rating if for failing to meet its obligations.
All set? Any other discussion? On the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? We'll be pushing on this.
Not a good way to do business. I don't have a problem with the bills, I have a problem with the way they're audited. There's things that are going through there that shouldn't be going through there.
All right. Resolution number 180.
We'll come back and we'll go back with you once we look at the audit and see what
Resolution,
you
go
go
through,
through.
roll call.
I don't think you want to make
Resolution
us
180, yeah.
Yeah, you do it.
Flapping over there.
Resolution 180, resolution authorizing chairman to sign agreement Corning Data IBM mainframe backup computer leasing, sponsored by myself. I need a second, Barb. And I'd also like, Dan, leave. Ah, shoot. All right.
Lost them on snowplow.
Did everybody get the email? Everybody get the email about this resolution? Does anybody need to discuss it, or does anybody understand it? Everybody's good with it?
Everybody's good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstained?
Motion adjourned.
No.
Good job, Dan.
Second.
Contract,
We have to bring something up, Brian will bring it up. It's about the position.
I believe we need to authorize Mr. Bay to go out to advertise for vice position.
that doesn't need a resolution, does it?
Yeah, we don't.
Well, the question came up whether it's a public official or not a public official.
Right.
And so Doug has done some research, so that's why it's up under other.
Don't we have resumes from the last, we didn't, do we have to have one?
Let Doug give
We
me.
have a vacancy.
You have to go back out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Question.
I thought it was a public official or not.
Easy breezy.
I don't think so.
There is, from my research into this, and I also contacted some other county attorneys whom I thought might have some insight into it. There's nothing to definitively set forth that the position is a public officer as defined in Section 3 of the Public Officers Law. That being the case, I don't know of any reason legally that you would be required to restrict the appointee to being a Montgomery County resident. The board could, of course, choose to go in that direction if it desires, but I don't believe it has to. And so I think the issue is what kind of direction do you want to give in terms of advertising and stipulations, if any.
Is this a new
No.
I mean, well, we've practiced this for the last 40 years, haven't we, that it had to be in county, because I remember when there were other people that were out of the county that were qualified, and we overlooked them because it was the public officer's law. When did all this change?
Nothing has changed.
So we've been doing this wrong for all these years.
I would just advertise it with no restrictions.
No restriction at all,
Just advertise with no restrictions.
right?
Is everybody hearing this discussion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page, and we advertise the position, and with no, I know, Dwight, you talked to SEMO about the residency requirement, right?
I did, I have not received.
You haven't got an answer back? Everybody's good with that,
Be
advertising?
interested in what they.
Yeah.
Then the job description that we currently have can go out,
Yeah.
because there's no residency requirement
That's right.
in a job description. I think you got it.
So we can use the current.
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Can I ask a question, Joe? If, when the interviews begin, and you do have qualified candidates from within, will you give them preferential treatment?
I think
Or
that-
will you not?
I think that's going to be the board decision, isn't it? I would hope we do the best qualified.
I thought we also allowed reaction from the firemen, from all the volunteers.
We did last time.
No?
We did, we asked for input. We did.
Right?
Yeah, we did, we asked for input.
Recommendation.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I think
saying.
they
I think
actually
it's good.
interviewed him too. I believe they actually interviewed him, and then they gave us a recommendation. We did what we wanted.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
Exactly.
They actually,
Same thing as
they actually did the
recommendation.
interview.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So everybody's good with that then?
Yep.
We'll tell Rich to advertise tomorrow and that'll come back to the personnel committee.
Yeah, but then, but Chair, I would send it back down to them. Let them do all the interviews. Why should we do the interviewing? And then make a recommendation to the board what they come up with. Takes it out of our hands, that's all I'm saying. And then you've got people, you know what I'm saying? You got people that are qualified, you know. I would think it'd be a lot easier that way than us getting involved in it.
Go ahead, Dwight.
At the Personnel Committee, I made a recommendation that perhaps the board consider splitting the two positions. When I took them as Emergency Management Director and County Fire Coordinator. My recommendation to the Personnel Committee was they consider separating the two jobs and hiring two different individuals. If that were to be the case, perhaps the board would reserve the appointment of the emergency management job and leave the county fire coordinator's job to be based on the recommendation of the county fire advisory board. So I just make that clarification.
Just one other issue. Dwight also came to Greg today and myself and grabbed us after the department head meeting about a thought he had, and I've asked him to put it on paper. And so within the next, hopefully with the next little bit of time here, we'll have something on paper. He had some thoughts about this, and no point in discussing it now, so I want it on paper. I don't want it on computer. So with that being said, otherwise we'll go out.
Motion adjourned.
If everybody's good?
Somebody
Yeah.
bring something up. Executive session.
All set?
Motion adjourned.
Second? Second. Fire. Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor?